Yeah. Aswand Cruickshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking in for a daily Move Swiftly thought, giving you a perspective on teamwork that you will not get anywhere else. Yesterday, I tuned into a very, very important yet graphic, eye-opening episode of the No Mercy podcast, hosted by the one and only, the great, legendary Stephen A. Smith, you know? And he had a guest, Sarah Klein. Sarah Klein is the first survivor of the despicable, disgusting acts by Larry Nace. I don't even like saying that bitch-ass motherfucker's name. You know, it disgusts me. If there's one thing that there's absolutely no excuse for, this fucking sickens me, is a child molester. That shit is fucking disgusting to me. And the entire episode was hitting all sorts of triggers, because I've spent the past, it feels like over a decade now, meeting women from all different walks of life. I mean, from grown-ass women to newborn babies to the ones that are just getting on their period, to the ones that have just gone through a divorce, the ones that are newly married, to the ones that have just met a new guy, broke up with this guy, is with the next guy. I mean, you name the type of woman out there, and I can guarantee you, Aswand Cruickshank has had some sort of an interaction or some sort of a conversation with that type of woman. And when you are in a place like I am, and again, I grew up with an older sister, I stay very close to my mother, speak to my mother all the time. I mean, when you look at the amount of women, the amount of types of women that I've met, and I hear an episode like that, and I hear a woman who was, just in a place, understand this shit, bro. Listen to me. She's 7 years old. She went back to see this scumbag, Larry Nazer, at 20 some odd years old, a grown ass woman, and was going back and doing the same shit, thinking that it wasn't molestation, thinking that it was just normal shit. She's in her 20s. She didn't know until 32. She did not know that this was child molestation. She didn't know she was being molested until she read an article and realizing, holy shit, all this time she was being molested. She didn't know how fucked up she was. Okay, there's no ESPY, there's no Arthur Ashe Award, there's no honor, there's nothing that's gonna take away from that kind of mindset. And that's what sickens me. And I was listening to it, and there were just all sorts of triggers. And the main thing that I wanna say, okay, and I hope that everyone grasps this, is if you are, or you know someone that's going through some shit like that, do not suffer in silence. That's the main thing I want to tell you, all right? Do not suffer in silence. Here's what I mean by that, because there's two things I have to tell you. Two things that are just coming into my mind right now as I'm sort of venting about the situation that had happened in this past, that were brought to my attention in this past year, all right? It was last year, probably a little over a year ago now, probably somewhere around a year ago now. I was doing a workshop. I did a workshop at a school in Miami. I won't put the name of the school out there, but I did a workshop at a school in Miami, and I met the athletic director, as I normally do. And the athletic director happened to be a woman, a black woman, very put together, had her shit together, really has a passion for these kids, right? So we're walking to the library where I'm going to do my workshop and do the presentation and all that kind of stuff. And, as we're walking, we're seeing the students at this school, and there was a group of girls who had a sonogram. They're looking at a fucking picture of a sonogram in high school, and these girls are almost like, they're not looking at it in like this, they're looking at it almost on some celebratory shit in high school. These high school girls are looking at a sonogram, and, just the thinking, and the reason I'm bringing that to your attention is because we as adults, our responsibility is to stop accepting and stop making it so casual sex is an all right thing, because the result of that shit is these scumbags like Larry Nazer are out there in the world. I can guarantee that he's not the only one. And it was such a graphic episode and such a graphic thing that Sarah Klein depicted in this episode that it just makes me sick to my stomach now that I'm even having to relive that shit. Because I have a niece. I'm around little girls that were around little K through 5, 5th grade, K through 5th grade, from I believe it's 5 all the way to close to 13-year-old girls every single day. And you see the innocence in their eyes, and to know how that bitch ass motherfucker snatched the innocence out of this to get a feel, like just a copy. What the fuck? That's bullshit. All right, so that's one story. When it comes to the high school I went to, the high school that I was touring. And just my previous form of employment, my previous place of employment was at a learning center, and at these two learning centers I was the only guy. And there was a teacher who told me a story about how when she was 16 she was dating a 32-year-old man, and the only reason she found out he was 32 is because they happened to go to a restaurant and she happened to see his motherfucking driver's license. And that's what made it so she realized he was fucking, twice the girl's age, dating a 16-year-old. It's disgusting, guys. And the only thing I have to say today, especially after, everything I've vented out, is, again, stop making it okay to have casual sex. And it takes both men and women, adult, mature men and women, to stop making casual sex okay, because this is the result. Your kids, these young people, are suffering from it because you have made this shit okay. You got to understand how a scumbag like Larry Nassar is even able to get to this level, get to this mindset, get past. I mean, if you really listen to the episode, Sarah was talking about how the fucking coach, the gymnastics coach that she had that let Larry Nassar around, they're to blame. They're worse because there was no way that this motherfucker should have even been able to be around kids. How the fuck is he able to pass background checks and all that shit? How? You know what, let me get off this. I'll do a full episode on this because this one is going to require me to really speak on it. So stay tuned for that. If you want to dive deeper into my world, the main website is makeyourmove.com, makeyourmove.com. One-stop shop for your teamwork and self-development needs. Aswand Cruickshank, your one and only Move Swiftly speaker, checking out. You guys continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.